call the meeting of the Auburn Board of Registrars and Voters meeting to order.
Everybody will call. Everybody's here.
Everyone is present?
Like Mac.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe say names. Nobody knows anybody.
Would you like to?
Jerry Bowen.
Deb Grimo.
Deborah Nurse.
And Mike McNamara.
Chair.
And I am the chair of the board. The first order of business is the early voting by mail and absentee voting discussion.
So, does anybody have any questions?
The question I have is just, I know it's been time limited in the past, so when could people begin to early vote?
People can start early voting anytime from now until the election. We have the ballots in. We've already gotten numerous applications for both absentee and early voting, which a lot of people had already filled out the absentees for all elections, so those we already had. Early voting typically isn't done for municipal elections. It's never done for that, but due to the circumstances, the legislation was passed, and anybody can early vote for the municipal election. So all they need to do is fill out the application. It's just like an absentee application. It's on the website, or they can call us, we'll mail it, but it's on the website. You can download, print it, and mail it in, scan it in, take a picture with your phone and send it in. They do need to have a signature.
So right now the election is scheduled for May 19th.
The town election is the third Tuesday of May, and that is May 19th at this point.
And the last day for voter registration?
The last day for voter registration is April 29th, which is next Wednesday.
And they could do that in person as well?
They can do that in person, although the office is closed. If anybody does want to register to vote, they still can do it online. But we will have signs on the door, and if they did come to the door, there will be one registrar in the office at all times, or somebody in the office. They could always just call, and we could meet them at the door, give them the form, fill it out, and take it from them. So
one thing that I found, because I went in the other day, and it's like, how many clicks does it take to get to that form? So you go into auburnguide.com and you click on a tab that says government, another tab that says town clerk, and then another tab that says voting and elections, and then you see the voter registration.
And I'm not sure what day you did that, but it is on the front page now.
Okay.
There is a link that says under spotlighted items, and it has all about, what's going on, and there is for the elections, we probably could bring that up.
Yeah, because I think
that you can, it is right on the homepage.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Under news and events, if you click on, election information, early voting information, click that, and there is a link right there.
And the early voting is there too?
It's right on that news and events.
I mean, because it's so, the early voting is so new, or is new to a town election, I think that's probably the most important thing for us, is to figure out how to advertise.
It's on social media, it's on the website, it's on ACTV, so anybody that, it's posted on there, and it's on Auburn Mass Daily.
Yep, okay, good.
So, we are getting word out, and the word's getting out because people are sending in the applications. Since I posted that application, which was probably a week and a half ago, I just had the other part uploaded so that was there by Monday. So when the ballots came in Tuesday, probably went up on Tuesday because Monday was a holiday.
So when someone is calling your office, are they leaving a message, or is it?
There's somebody in the office every day covering the hours, but if they do leave a message, we are, I have access to work from home, and I get my messages right on the computer, so I'm getting the messages daily. So the application would be going out that day.
With the date of May 19th, what would be the latest that our citizens could vote early?
Up until noontime the day before.
Okay.
Well, they can, ask for that application. Now, keep in mind, they ask for that application or drop it off on noon the day before, and we mail out the ballot on that day, depending on the post office. So if, I suggest that they get their applications, try to do it earlier. But if it is mailed out on Monday, they get their ballot on Tuesday, all they have to do is fill out the ballot, drop it off at Town Hall. There is somebody that's going to be in the office until the end of the polls closing, and that ballot will be brought down to the polls.
How does this impact absentee voting?
As far as...
Is that still an option?
Oh, yeah, it's still an option, and believe it or not, there are only 3 reasons that you can absentee vote, which are, you're going to be absent from the voting polls that day out of town, a religious belief, or a physical disability that prevents you from going to the polls. With the COVID-19, it was also added that that could be the physical disability, but not going to the polls. So if somebody filled out an absentee ballot application and sent it in, because they're not going to go to the polls for that reason, they can still do so.
So back to the early voting application. Could a family, does each individual voter have to fill out a form, or could a family, say, put the 4 names of people in the household, have them all sign?
A family member can fill out an absentee ballot application for a family member that lives in the same household. Not all names, not on one application.
I'm talking about the early voting.
Early voting, I believe a family member can,
You don't have to apply for it, right?
but, what?
For early voting, you don't have to apply for it. You just come in and give your vote earlier. There is no application.
Yeah, the early voting ballot
Well,
application.
there is an application.
Early voting ballot application has to be filled out by themselves and has to be brought back by them. An absentee ballot, there is a family member that can fill out the form for them. It can be dropped off by a family member. So if somebody was to fill out an early voting ballot, they got their ballot, they wanted to have somebody in their household bring it back for them, we can't really take it back, but they're also not coming in to hand it to us. So if it's dropped in the drop box, we're going to assume that they dropped it off themselves. Or they put it in the mail. We're getting mail daily. So.
Are there any other questions?
And we do check with the post office all day on election day to make sure that any ballots that come back during the time after they've delivered mail up until they close, which would be 5:36, and they have our number that they'd call us and let us know that we're going to get them.
Are there any other questions about early voting? Voter by mail and absentee voting? Okay. Third item on the agenda is voter registration coverage.
And that, you guys always cover voter registration. So office typically closes at 4. We are already closed to the public, but there will be signs on the door. So if anybody wants to register to vote and comes in person, they would just knock on the door or call the number. We'll meet them at the door. 29th, yeah. So there'll be someone from 4 to 5 here, and then whether you or Jerry was doing 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and then Mike was doing 7 to 8. So if you want to set those now, we can.
That's fine. So typically the Board of Registrars serves later day to register voters and provide coverage for that.
So why don't we put down do you two know what time you're working that day?
Yeah.
All right, well, what do you want? Well, since you're both here, let's,
I'll do beer.
5, 6?
I already got 6 to 7 in my phones.
I thought you had 7 to 8. No? You're 6 to 7? Okay.
7 to 8 tonight.
Okay, 7 to 8. Okay, perfect. All right, so
As
we're...
far as voting day, would there be any special conditions on the voting as far as?
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you asked that.
We're going to get to that under item number 4.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on registration coverage?
Registration coverage and people, like I said, there's already pre-registrants. Anybody that's going to turn 18 by May 19th will be automatically registered as of the 29th. And they can register online and they can come to the polls, come to town hall to do it in person.
And if hearing none, I'll move on to item number 4, discussion and possible vote for the upcoming annual town election, May 19th.
So how many,
Okay, so as far as the polls on election day, we're all aware of what the polls look like, and we use half of the gym. Due to the COVID-19, and typically I have 30 election workers. Due to the COVID-19, I have asked to use the entire gym, so it's going to really be spread out. We'll have markings, so nobody really has to get, can definitely do the 6 feet apart, because when you vote in person, you are supposed to say, your street number. The poll worker's repeating these back loud and clearly, your name loud and clearly. So let's just say this is what the table looks like, as you're aware. Somebody can be 6 feet away, state to make sure who they are. They're going to check the poll worker that is checking them in, will check them in. They can hand them their ballot. They'll grab their ballot. They'll go vote. They'll come over to the checkout, they'll do the same thing, and they put their ballot in. They don't have to touch the tabulator, nothing has to be touched, unless it was to spit back out, then they might have to hit cast, but we will have Lysol wipes there, so that any of that, they can bring their own pens if they want. We are going to have pens there. We will have, Lysol wipes, as we did on the primary, because that's when that just was starting. So we were all towns were instructed to have Purell and Lysol wipes and continually go around and wipe down. And so, do I think that it's going to be that busy? A town election typically isn't that busy. We do have police there, so, and, each precinct has a check-in, a check-out, a clerk. There's a warden that's working the whole place, and people will be instructed to,
so at this point, how many election workers are you planning on?
Right now, I have 15 that are working. I already requested the waiver from elections because you typically are supposed to have 2 check-in, 2 check-out, a clerk, and because we are all in one location, we can have one.
So can you just give us the explanation as to how we're able to have an election with more than 10 people in the...
It doesn't apply to polling locations.
So just explain that.
Oh, okay. Well, the governor's order, which went through on May 4th, did not apply to polling locations. So poll workers, election workers are essential, because elections, you can't cancel an election. You can postpone an election, but you can't cancel an election. So they are considered essential workers. And the governor's order of the 10 people does not apply to polling locations.
Could you discuss the option of delaying the election into June and what that involves?
Well, if the election was to be postponed, we could take a vote to postpone it with a date to be announced. All of the election ballots that have already been ordered and received will have the May 19th date on it. those would still be used. We'd have to post it on the website, post a copy of the acts of Chapter 43, Chapter 20, the acts of 2020. That's what it's called. Chapter 45, the acts of 2020. A copy of that would have to be on there. We'd have to do a reverse 9/11 call. Somehow try to get the information out that it was postponed so people knew that it was postponed. The early voting ballot application, which is already on there anyways. And
So what will the voting hours be?
at this point, currently, it's scheduled for 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Is there a possibility?
However, with the current circumstances, they possibly could be reduced for the voter safety and with the early voting. At this point, there's still currently 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The warrant hasn't been posted. The hours are typically, what they're going to be open, usually in the warrant. So that hasn't been posted yet. So at this point, the annual town election, per the bylaws, is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Some
But-
businesses are posting like senior citizen hour or something like that. We're not gonna do anything like that.
As much as you'd like to be able to say you can't come in without a mask, you can't come in if you're a certain age, that's not in an election.
No, that schedule.
Yeah.
Saying the first 2 hours, people.
I mean, elections, we're limited. This is about all we can do as far as...
And what is the time? Do you know other towns, or what is the...
Many towns have reduced their hours.
No, as far as delaying it for June.
How many have gone to June? Well, municipal elections are anytime from March through June. So what started this was election can't be postponed without a court order. So some towns had March elections and actually had to get a court order to postpone. And there were special senatorial and county races that were scheduled for, I think, March 24th. So the state had to do, because they were kind of getting asked a lot. So that's why that emergency legislation was passed. So the towns that had March elections did postpone with either a TBD, to be determined, or some in April have. There are some in May that have postponed to maybe the first or second week in June or later in June. And then there's some that are continuing with their May dates. Because the governor's order is through May 4th, people feel, they may be okay. So at this point where he hasn't extended it, I don't know if they will, but they have, some have postponed, some have not postponed.
So, as far as you talked about the reverse 911 or the robocall, is there any possibility of doing that to reach out to voters in town to let them know about early voting and the various different options they have to do that?
As far as doing a code red 911 call, yeah. We could, what we decide, if we decide today that we're going to go forth with it, then I would try to get that call out probably next week, saying the annual town election is scheduled for May 19th. At this point, due to the, circumstances in the COVID-19, everybody can vote early, and we decide what it was that we were going to say, but I would get that out early. Like I got it on the website, like I'm trying to get it out, and I'm going to get it on the electronic signs also. So typically, when the election's coming up, I usually have the DPW sign going around town.
Right.
I'm not going to have it go around town to let people know that they can early vote.
Could we put it on the sign at the fire station as well? Yeah. And then just rough numbers?
Library. Yeah, rough numbers as far as how many show up at a typical.
Yeah, like last 3 years, town.
Okay, so I went back 5 years. May 19th, 2015, out of approximately 11,000 voters, 2,310 came out. That was 21%. May 17th of 2016, we had 11,355 voters, 1,509 came out, and that was 13%. May 16th, 2017, we had 11,860 voters, 1,097 came out, and that was 9.25%. On May 15th, 2018, we had 11,646 voters, 1,488 came out, that was 13%. And last year, on May 21st, 2019, we had 11,727 voters, and 1,075 came out and voted, and that was 9%. So,
Did you say a number earlier about what you've received already for early voting?
the amount of, we have a bunch. We probably have absentees, we probably have for 100 so far. It may be more, I didn't.
Yeah.
They're actually going out today. And early voting applications, we probably have 50 or so far. And those have been coming in fast.
When was the first day they could?
Early vote?
Yeah.
Anytime now.
No, but what was the first day they could?
Oh, as soon as they pass the legislation.
Oh, okay, which is this?
Yeah.
Oh, I get you.
I mean, we didn't have that information out there in March because we were 2 months away from.
All right, so March 27th.
But I did get it on the website pretty fast, but.
If this board were to consider delaying the election date, could you discuss how all of the ballots and early voting requests would be handled?
They would be locked up in the safe where they're locked up in the vault where they are locked up anyways and protected, and they'll be brought on the day of the election. And they do get a police escort.
Okay, and anyone who's currently in office, what would happen?
Their term would be extended until the election goes on. So if they, they would be a carryover until their successor was elected.
Do you have a copy of that?
Oh, I didn't bring, did you bring a copy? Oh, that's the application. It is on the website. The ballots have already been posted to the website. Yeah, I didn't bring the specimen. I could have brought that.
So we would not need to reprint ballots or anything?
Oh, no. No, the date would remain the same on the ballots. And even if I ran out of absentee ballots, I can use official ballots as early voting ballots or absentee, but we would make sure that we wrote that on there. I've already ordered, stamps, so I did order 3 times as much as I normally do on absentee to have them.
And
because I do anticipate everybody's going to vote early.
There are no contested town meeting races?
The only contested race is selectmen, that, there's 3 on there. So I was saying something as far as, as far as election day, everybody could have voted before that all we're doing is processing, checking off the ballots out of the envelopes, opening the envelopes, checking them out, processing them. There's going to be a lot of that. Now, in 2016, when early voting was first enacted, the first year that it went through for the presidential election, we had close to 3,500 early voting ballots. And that was in addition to whatever we had for absentee, which I believe was around 1,500. So you're talking, there were 5,000 ballots that had to be checked in, had to be checked out, had to be opened up, and had to go through the tabulators in addition to and in between people voting.
Right.
So, that being said, I know somebody had a question. Do I have the manpower in the office to be able to handle this early voting? And the answer to that is yes, because we do it on a normal basis in a state or federal election.
I have a question about public safety and personal protective equipment. How would we be providing that for our poll workers?
Well, they can certainly bring their own mask, but I'm going to try to see if I can't have cloth ones. I don't know that, we'd be at the top of the list to be able to order them some other way, but try to get, if they have their own, then they can certainly bring that, and if I can get cloth ones made, then they would have that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I think you had alluded to it earlier. There are certain things that, some people are going to wear masks, some people aren't, some people are going to wear gloves, some people aren't. To me, if anyone is at home and they're feeling like they don't want to go to the polls, this early voting gives them the perfect opportunity and plenty of time to be able to request a ballot, get it back home, and mail it. They don't have to go anywhere.
Right. We're still, this is right, so we've got 1, 2, just about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
3.5 weeks away from May 19th. So, like you said, the word is getting out. People know, and yes, there may be people that don't know, but they will still.
It started to pick up on Facebook. Everyone's going to have their opinions. There are going to be people who go to the polls.
Because they want to go to the polls. Yeah,
But I would think the numbers would be diminished.
Right.
Any other discussion? Would we have to take action today if we were to consider
No.
reducing the hours?
That won't be us. We can't reduce the hours.
Okay.
So, at this point, I have already asked town council as far as can we reduce our hours.
So explain that. Why can't we reduce the hours?
Well, our hours are in, I really don't, are in the bylaws.
Oh, okay. So who has the authority to reduce the hours?
Well, the board, under the Mass General Law, the state law, the hours for a town election only need to be 4 hours. You can open as late as just before noon and have the polls open for 4 hours. So I have asked, because of everything that's going on and for the safety of, the election, if we could possibly have the Board of Selectmen take a vote on reducing the hours so that, the polls are only open a certain amount of hours. But at this point, that is not for us.
Okay, and so check, right now we're scheduled for 8
Right.
a.m.
Even if you vote, even if you we took a vote to postpone, we aren't setting the date. So we can take the vote, but that would be it.
And we could always meet again.
We can always meet again, and, that vote, should it not take place today, and a couple weeks go by, we have up until the election to postpone.
Sure.
So, but once the warrant is posted, we'd have to go around and either do a new warrant, post another warrant,
So we do know that
or postpone.
that any registered voter can early vote from home, that there's a process in place where they can use the U.S. Post Office, they can use email, scan, they can
Scan and email the application.
they can fax.
You could
To
fax
request.
the application, yep, we just need a signed application.
Yep. And then
Doesn't even necessarily have to, if it has all the pertinent information, but you're signing,
And then when the ballot comes back through the U.S. mail, they fill it out, they seal it, they send it back through the U.S. mail. We also know that between now and May 4th, which is a week from Monday, that the governor will be making some kind of statement. What we don't know is where we will be in the month of June, and the election has to take place by June 30th.
And the week of June 30th goes into 4th of July weekend,
Right.
so, it is, it's been a very difficult time to try to figure out what to, because his first order was going to end April 7th, so.
And just last week, he announced that, schools are closed for the rest of the year. I'd be happy enough to, I think he's done a great job with getting information out. I'd be happy enough to wait to hear what the next timeline is.
So let me just say, Wednesday's the last day for voter registration. If we wait, you're gonna work the voter registration. Let's just say we go, and then a vote is taken to postpone. We do have to have another voter registration. It doesn't have to be the hours of the last one. It would have to be 10 days prior to the date of the election, which, they just have to be 2 to 4 and 7 to 8, I think it is. And if it was on a Tuesday, that voter registration would be on a Friday.
And again, if we encourage people to print that form and send it in, and, honestly, based upon our numbers, I'm not that concerned about
Voter registration?
registration.
That's how many voters do you typically get?
0 to 1.
Maybe one.
Somewhere between 0 to 1.
Yeah, I think one of you had one last time. It might have been you. So just so you know that also.
I think the legislature has given us every possible accommodation.
I think so too. And again, I also emailed elections again last week and called and had a conversation. Do you see any more legislation coming down the line as far as, at this point they said no, but the governor's order, he hasn't extended, he hasn't changed it.
Right.
If something changes, they could have to change, because those special senatorial election, some of the communities that are having them, that election for the state is May 19th. So it's the same day as ours. So if something was going to change, I'm figuring.
Is there any further discussion? So at this point, we have no reason to take a vote, and if we do not take a vote,
So,
the election will proceed as
On May
planned
19th.
on May 19th,
yeah.
with the early voting and the absentee ballot requests. We may choose to meet again if things change on the state level, and we have that option. So we'll accommodate voter registration at least once, perhaps twice, and you feel fully prepared from a public safety standpoint, I think, in terms of the...
I do. I've already contacted the school, like I said, because, I didn't, even though we're not crowded on a normal election, I just wanted to know that we really could have all the space. Mm-hmm. And with the schools being closed now and the school year has ended, there isn't activities going on. So facilities manager Joe Fahey had already told me, whatever we need, we can have the whole gym. So I can even, work with him as far as I don't know if we can use both doors. You know, I know there's really just a main door, but maybe there could be, or we can definitely have just one in, because there's double doors, one in, one out, and really, you know, have the circulating going really smooth. That this may roll over better in other elections, because in September, there is legislation already on the table. I don't know what it's going to be, but they're already talking. They weren't going to have early voting for September. Now they're more than likely will be early voting. And there's also talk of mailing ballots, and so, you know, I think we're gonna see changes for the fall.
September or November?
I think we're gonna see changes for both of them, you know,
September, it's
state primary. So you have 2 more voter registrations. Voter registrations to cover, which the state primary has been moved, and it is September 1st.
That used to be September?
It's always September, but it's always, the date of the state primary is always a date that ends up having to be pushed back because it's not in compliance with the HAVA.
Do we have meeting minutes to,
Oh, we do. Yeah, I didn't make 3.
Do you have any public comment?
Yeah, why don't you start? Those are the meeting minutes from our last meeting. If you want to just quick, you all.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Mike made a motion. Okay, he did.
approve the minutes as presented?
Second?
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?